Alright gang, let's go take a walk. Everything is broke. Okay, we have the steering to tend to on that. I did do quite a bit of mowing with it, and it mows fine as long as you're real careful about how you steer, but we want it to be right for Miss Zippo. So that's first on the list, because it should be the easiest fix. Then we have a brand new push mower, and I was just, Mike the tractor guy talked about it on the live show last night about how well the ultrasonic cleaners clean these new plastic carburetors. So this is a what are they calling it, a 5 foot-pound 140cc overhead valve, Briggs & Stratton. Specifically says here E0 to E10, no E15 or E85, right there on the cap. But that's what its problem is. Carburetor's just a little junked up because they're sensitive. So we got to clean the carburetor on this, get it back to Miss Zippo. As you can see, it's never mowed the first blade of grass. She bought it a couple years ago thinking she was going to use it to go around trees and stuff like that. Then she got a zero turn and she didn't need to do that. So now that she's going to be getting another basic mower, more or less, she will again need the push mower. Winnie the Pooh. We were mowing some literally knee-high grass yesterday, and no matter how careful we were, breakdowns were inevitable, and breakdowns happened. Blew a head gasket on Winnie the Pooh. Still runs, but you can hear it when you're first trying to start it, and then when you shut it off. While it's running, you can't hear it at all. So, and what actually caused it was a backfire. It was as much my fault, as more my fault than it was Miss Zippo's. What happened there was the key switch on these things. They're wonderful, and Willie was talking about it too. And I say that sarcastically. I'm precariously trying to climb up on here so I can show you the way the key switch works. Okay, make sure, yeah, we can see it. All right, you have your stop position. This is your go in reverse position. This is where the key stops after you've started it. So if you do not move it back to this position and you hit the foot pedal to go backwards with the deck engaged, it just kills the entire engine and everything. Well, Miss Zippo didn't know what was going on. She forgot to turn the key back. I did mention it to her, but I didn't stress to her that it's important to move it back to the backup position. And she thought that all that happened was it shut the deck off. Well, in the newer ones, like that one, that's what would happen. There is a bypass on that one also, but this one is a whole lot less evident. And what it resulted in was the carburetor allowed fuel to continue in while it killed the ignition as she was going backwards. She let off of the backup pedal, and when she let off of the backup pedal, all that loaded up fuel that was in there caught and just created a hellacious backfire that blew a head gasket. So easy enough repair, but it is going to be a little bit more time consuming than taking care of the steering on the Cub Cadet. So now we're down to just Ugly Alice? No. We have more than just Ugly Alice. There's an old saying that a mechanic's stuff never gets fixed. And that is really very, very true. I am so busy with my own stuff, I'm attempting to get out while talking to you guys. There we go. I know these fenders are plenty strong enough to support my little 150 pounds. So it's always the mechanic stuff that gets fixed last, and that is the case here as well, and I'll explain further in detail. But these are reproduction mufflers. A good design, just had one tiny little flaw that wound up causing a whole lot of problems. A stock Nelson muffler, which this is a reproduction of, has a convex back and a convex front, and that's by design. These engines create harmonics and it causes vibrations. No matter what RPM you're at, those vibrations on a right angle bend, which is what we have right here, where that really clean brake, and this is indicative of how they all fail. If that had been the convex shape that it should have, that the original Nelson, I'm choosing my words carefully, that the original Nelsons had, these wouldn't have failed at all, because this would no longer have been a 90-degree angle. Would have been more in the area of, say, maybe an 80 or 78-ish degree angle, which is a much more sweeping angle. Also, the stamping was, it should have been relieved a lot more so that it was distributing the load across that inlet face, which it did not do. So anyway, that makes the fifth one of those mufflers that I've lost, and it's good heavy steel. It's just a manufacturing flaw. So there's that. Now let's just skip right on over here to Clifford. Clifford drives, you know, it's a truck. It does what it's supposed to. Then you step on the brakes, and then it doesn't want to go anymore. I have the driver's side's already been changed, but this is the passenger side front flexible brake line. And from some friends of mine, I'm going to loosen, as per recommendation, I'm going to loosen the grip that this bracket has on the line. Not so much that the line moves, but enough that this is not eventually going to rust and essentially do this as it rusts and compresses that line and causes a collapse. That's what's happened here. So Clifford is DOA. I cannot drive Clifford. Smoky, the alternator is completely out. Almost got stranded. I mentioned that in the that video, the live stream last night. That Smoky, the alternator, I had two bad legs, but it was still charging 12.7 volts, so that was good enough for Miss Zippo and I to run a couple tankfuls of gas through and still have 60-70% of battery left. Not so much anymore. So anyway, now let's see if we can't get a look under here. I don't know how the lighting's going to be. Hopefully it'll be okay. But if we look, oh, sorry about the angle. But if we look here, you can see everything's just soaked under here. And it starts right at the transmission pan. The transmission was serviced, and when it was serviced, the gasket was improperly installed, so it's throwing transmission fluid. So I need to get a new pan gasket, and I'll just get a new filter at the same time. Difference between the transmission and, well, you just get off there. I've tried to pick at you 3 times. Difference between this transmission and this transmission is that this is a 700R4/4L60. This is a 4L60E, electronically controlled. It's a very strong transmission. It has a real nice factory shift kit in it. It shifts like it's supposed to. It does everything it's supposed to. But something else that it does is, you can also see the oil speckles on the side of the truck here and all over the tailgate. And then it continues on, and it all over the frame. And we can come even all the way back here to the tail lights and see little rainbows where the oil has gotten on the tail lights of the trailer, which is way far away from the truck. And to make it one better, Miss Zippo was following about 6 or 7 car lengths behind me on the way to her house to go mow her yard, and her windshield has transmission oil on it from Sylvester. So that's definitely something that needs attention ASAP, as Sylvester is my daily. And get the brake line done on that. Head gasket replaced up here on Winnie the Pooh lawn. I also broke a deck roller. I caught a root, and that's no big deal. It'd be easy enough to repair. There's the deck roller there. And if you're curious what would happen if you got your hand anywhere near the blades, this is solid rubber, okay? And as you can see, those blades got a hold of that solid rubber and just chewed it up like it was nothing and spit it out the other side of the deck. I'll show you where it was this side right here. So it was attached right there. It is no longer attached there. So functionally, Ugly Alice still works. Throw another muffler on it, go out and continue mowing. So should look like this. We're just missing one roller. Right there. Just like that on the other side. So we'll get that repaired. And it's always the side that's welded, not the side that floats. This side floats in the hanger. That side is welded to the hanger. So it will not hurt anything at all when I go to weld that back on. I do run the risk of it popping off again, but Ugly Alice didn't miss a beat other than spitting the muffler off and me backing over a root. The trailer did absolutely marvelously. This is actually, I've had it for a while, 2 years. This is actually the first time I have used it. I've loaned it out to a number of people and they all say, pulls like a dream. Well, I got to discover that for myself this past weekend. It's about a 20-mile trip to Miss Zippo's on the highway. So clipping right along at 65, didn't even know the thing was back there. Sylvester had no issues at all pulling it. And some of you are probably saying, oh my God, Zippo, that's a heck of a transmission leak. You shouldn't be driving it at all. It looks like a terrible, terrible, terrible oil leak. That's about 200 miles worth of oil. I just noticed it. I did check the transmission oil level and it wasn't even down a pint. So even though it looks like a boatload of oil, it's not really, since it's only down about half a pint. But that's all going to get changed out anyway. And of course, we'll get Sylvester up, and Clifford up. I may do Clifford first, because that's just a matter of popping one brake line off, letting off the banjo fitting, let it gravity feed until it starts leaking out of the new line, and then attach it to the caliper. And 9 times out of 10 when I do it that way, I don't have to bleed the brakes. I just put it on and I go. So we will definitely give that a try. But those are brand new rotors on the front with brand new pads. Last thing I want to do is have a rotor hanging up due to the caliper not releasing and burning up and warping a brand new caliper and destroying a set of pads. So alright, that's where we're at. Everything is broke right now. Well, the old Squire's not. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The old Squire is not broken. And I've informed everybody it is a do not bother me week so that I can take care of all the tasks at hand. So there's a little update that I didn't get into on the live stream last night because it would have taken what? Almost 14 minutes to go through all that. I do have repairs in here. I've got this Toro Time Master. I think that's what it's called. Is it a Time Master? What's it called? What's your name? Well, anyway, you're a dual, and these have to be timed, so I need to put a new serpentine belt on there and time the blades correctly. But anyway, we've got that to do. And of course, all the stuff that I got that you guys haven't seen yet, I don't think, like that. I don't remember if I showed you guys that or not. And it works. It doesn't light up, but it works. If you want to know what that says, I'll get up there and just pause it and read it. I like that. This is just a bunch of parts, individual parts, little parts trays. Radiator test kit, just all kinds of stuff in there. We'll go through that another time. But right now, this Zippo has to get busy and get some things of his own fixed so that I can continue helping others. I promise you guys I will see you on the next one. later. I am out of here. If you like this video, right down there, you can click on my smiling face to subscribe. Over here is a video, and over here is a video. Later.